Hey, thanks for the intro. So for those of you guys who just came in, I'm Gary Choo. Um, I'm a concept artist, illustrator. I've been in the I've been developing games for about 13 years. Started off in Lucas Arts, where I was a concept artist, and then um, I did a bunch of freelance work, and then I did. Well, right now I'm with Mighty Bear Games, um, and I'm the lead artist on our game Battle Royale, which we
Mm.
released in January this year.
Mm. Wow. So you worked on some high level studios and high profile projects, right, over this 13 years.
And not bad. Like I was lucky. I was lucky enough to be on The Force Unleashed for Star Wars.
Wow.
Several Star Wars titles with the Clone Wars animation.
Mm.
Star Wars 1313, Monkey Island 2 Special Edition.
Mm.
Um, then I did a bit of freelance with James Cameron's Avatar,
Oh,
and
wow.
I joined King after King Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Worked on some projects there, and like the team that I was with at that point when what's that? King's headquarters, they wanted to move the team over
Mm.
to continue the project, but we chose to stay. Like
Right,
we love
right.
all like our synergy among each other,
Yeah.
and that's how we started Mighty Bear Games. We just
Mm.
split. Yeah.
Mm. Got it, got it. Wow. So how do you feel like, whenever you see one of your works being put out there, like in the case of Captain America, right? That piece. I always remember that piece, you know?
Surreal. Like it's something that I've always wanted as a kid. Like
Mm.
doing work for Marvel, and just having your art printed by them.
Mm.
I don't think I have ever gotten over um, that feeling, or maybe like fully registered that I've done work for them.
Mm.
Um,
Really? Even
yeah,
after all these years and doing so much work for them?
yeah, yeah. It's still super cool. I think I get a bigger effect when I see my friends' stuff on that's actually published.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I'll be like, oh man, he's on Warhammer, or he's done something for DC,
Mm.
Yeah, that comes in a bit more stronger than my
Mm.
own stuff, I think.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's in every artist lah. Whenever we see someone's work, they will be like, "Yay, let's cheer for them." But when we put our work out there, sometimes we're like, "Hey, is it good enough to be out there or not?" Is it? I still can't believe that my work is good enough to be there. How does it compare with all these other great artists out there, right?
That's a real big point you brought out. When I first started with Marvel, I was freaking nervous. Like uh, every cover I did, I wasn't sure if it was the best that I could
Mm.
do, or maybe it was too much, like too complicated. Does the audience understand? Um, yeah, there was a lot of more emotional investments in
Mm.
those pieces that I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm. John Su is asking on IG, imposter syndrome.
Uh, I want. Wow.
But I think it's real. Like, yeah, we are very, each of us creative people, we are very self critical of what we do, but yet we are really quick to praise others. We see how much we can see the value in others work, right? But when we look at ours, we can see only the flaws.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Su says your works are awesome. By the way.
Thank you, thank you. I wasn't always like this, by the way.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, I was a super bratty, proud artist during my poly days.
Uh huh.
Very aggressive. Yeah.
Oh, how so?
Um, I would say stuff without knowing that they are maybe hurtful, or like I would challenge artists, my artist friends, ever so
Mm-hmm.
often.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about like, either raising the bar of, or are they doing all they can, kind of thing. And but
Mm.
at that point it was kind of okay. It was like a mutual understanding, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We managed to build that. Um, yeah, it was good. Like, that definitely helped me improve my art. But like, I also like meet a lot of friends who kind of, I saw the benefits, and I learned like, being humble, um,
Mm.
like, knowing what humility is. Uh,
Mm.
yeah, through friends as well, and through my
Mm.
working experience.
Mm.
Let me see. I think I need to. Okay. Sorry, I need to give my phone a charge.
Ah, okay, no problems. For those on IG, you'll be seeing like this.
Yeah, this wonky thing going on. Mm, all right,
Oh, good now.
all good.
Oh, Darius is saying he was a legend back in poly. You are a legend back in poly.
Bratty guy.
But I suppose it's friendly competition, right? Because like you guys always want to sharpen the saw, sharpen and become better at what you guys are doing. So it's that friendly competition and friendly like, hey, no, come on,
Yeah,
let's do
that
better.
was that was really important.
Mm,
Like, we like and we engaged in forums back then. We
mm,
engaged in forums. Me, DCWJ, and then Zhen Fang, who's like, management of Koei right now, Koei
mm-hmm,
Tecmo,
mm-hmm,
and a whole bunch of other guys and girls who are like, Psychotic Cookie, just to mention a few.
mm,
Yeah, we had like super healthy rivalry, and yeah, we always like kind of comment on each other's work. So that was really healthy. That was really good.
mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm not sure if like, the artists of the younger generation do that, or they're always like, yay, supportive, which is good. Like, I think collaboration is good.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I
competitive.
think
Yeah,
yes, being competitive is good, and I think like you mentioned, right, probably like younger artists didn't have access or have no idea what a forum is in this day and age
no,
because everything is right now
I think not. Yeah,
on social media. I mean, forums are
yeah.
kind of like wow, they're all in the early or late 90s, in the 90s. Yeah, I still remember, when I wanted to find out stuff about being an artist or being at least being in the animation industry, I always had to go into this different forums. I think there were still a few back then. I can't remember their names, and I had to ask for critique, ask for stuff. But now it's a lot easier because now Facebook, IG, it just gives you direct access to all these creatives, right? And it's much easier to find information, find good art that inspires me, right? And just and also just communicating directly with the creators of the artworks. So yeah, creatives, I mean artists right now they have should be having a ball of a time actually compared to where we were back then, right? When information was all in bits and pieces, scattered around different books, different artworks. Yeah. Yeah.
Agree.
But I'm curious though, like for yourself, what got you into this whole illustration, comic art making business? And then eventually going into, the mobile games business.
Um, well, uh, picking up art, that was my dad's and my brother's doing.
Oh,
My
really?
dad introduced me to comic books at a really young age, about about 4 years old, 5 years old. My first comic was um, Amazing Spider-Man, and
Ah.
it was the second appearance of Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a Spider-Man Punisher crossover, and it was very visual, very high visual. There was nothing back in the 80s that had that much action
Mm-hmm.
and articulation in a book, in a comic. And I was really blown over by that kind of, like, when you're young, so all your neurons are fresh, uh, it's it was it just stayed with me, that whole experience with reading a comic book for the first time stayed with me.
Mm-hmm.
um, and the contents were like really easy to understand. Like, my reading was kind of rubbish, right? But
Mm-hmm.
just following panel by panel and understanding the action,
Mm.
that was great.
Mm.
My brother, at a young age, he, like me, he used to do a lot of like drafting and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
plastic kits. So very hands-on, very physical stuff, and I would always see him spend hours doing it. So
Mm.
that rubbed off me as well. Yeah,
Mm. And your
but
brother, is he in the creative line?
he's police officer, police coast guard,
Wow. So different.
superhero work.
Yeah, he's doing the real superhero work, right? Protecting Singapore on our coastline. Yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah.
he's got crazy stories. Yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah.
It's just so interesting because like you guys were brought up in the same environment yet took two different paths.
Yeah. My dad was policeman. Uh,
Wow.
so I guess that kind of, that lent, uh, how to say, that kind of increased my sensitivity to, I guess, like looking for mythology and things with superheroes and um, yeah, anything with, like, say, maybe a sense of power, I guess.
Mm, 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 mm.
Yeah,
Because it's a very impactful story that sticks with you, yeah. Especially, I believe if you're a policeman, either in the Coast Guard or or just a regular man in
right.
blue, there are definitely a lot of exciting stories that intrigue and excite a young mind, especially for someone who is still in the teens or even younger. Right? I think that
Yeah.
stuck with you, yeah.
So yeah, that had a positive influence, but um, like what really made me turn serious was in school. I was drawing a lot, right?
Mm.
But in my secondary school days, like, I had friends come to me and ask me, like, why my art so shit. So
Oh, look at where they are now.
so
Wow.
that that made me like, what do you mean? And I made it like, I got serious with it. I made
Right,
it
right.
a point to be good at what I like to do, which is like drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and then I think um, this aggressiveness stayed with me uh, for quite a bit, in terms of like, how do I improve, how do I draw.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to kind of observe how others do it, and I often ask myself is, if I can apply what they do,
Mm-hmm.
can I achieve that, or do they have mistakes?
Mm-hmm.
uh, what's the difference between a pro and me as a practitioner? I would always ask that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay, before we continue, Credible says supporting Gary from Perth, Australia. Wow.
Wow.
You're getting like an international group of supporters to hear tonight. Yeah, that's really
Yeah,
cool.
Friends. They were friends.
Ah, okay. So after that was in secondary school, yeah, your experience of all your friends, criticizing your work,
Yeah.
but that drove you, that
Yes.
motivated you to even do it more, become better.
Yes. Yes. Very much.
Wow. So at that point of time, were you thinking like, I'm definitely going to be a comic artist, or were you like, you know what, I'm just going to be better at drawing?
And just only be better at drawing. I had no idea what I could be doing like after. But which like this really required a lot of work.
Mm,
Doing the homework of like the difference between a practitioner or hobbyist versus a content creator.
mm,
So I had no idea about what being a content creator means. And I was lucky enough, like through forums, I met Zhen Fang,
mm,
who's now the manager of like one of the managers of Tecmo Koei, and
right.
like he became my mentor at that point in time, and
Mm-hmm,
he kind of taught me the ropes. What's the difference? What is it to expect? It's
mm,
not just about being creative, or it's not just about liking or knowing how to draw. There's a kind of uh, attitude behind the delivery of a product
mm,
that one needs to learn in order to be in order to survive in the industry, I guess.
mm. Can you
Yeah.
elaborate more about that? Like, you talk about a little bit about the attitude and the difference between a hobbyist and a
Mm.
professional, right? What's this attitude that one must have
I
that
think
differs, yeah, from
as an
hobbyists?
artist, a hobbyist, a lot of times you do things to better yourself for yourself,
Mm-hmm,
and but quite often, if you are doing a product, you have to be really aware of what the audience likes. You have to be really aware of content.
mm,
Like, say, if I'm doing work for army fantasy, then I really
mm-hmm,
need to understand uh, what people love, and like what are the ingredients that make uh, a good army story. Or
mm-hmm,
if it's fantasy, then I would really need to be uh, well versed with that universe of fantasy,
mm,
and also kind of like what level of fantasy is it? High fantasy? Is it
mm,
casual fantasy?
mm,
Um, yeah, so uh, there's just a lot of homework to be done in regards of like um, knowing what's the content you're going to create.
mm,
Yeah.
mm.
Um, does that answer? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I think it does. I think like some of our younger audiences may like, be wondering like, hey, but what about style? I mean, if someone wants to hire me for my style, I can do whatever I want, right? Why do I need to pander to the needs of the audience? Why do I need to, be concerned about whether people are like, if they like my stuff, they like my stuff already, isn't it?
I think that's true. Like there are many really good styles out there, but maybe they don't stick because maybe because they aren't working around a specific subject matter.
Mm,
So, like in regards to say somebody like James Jean, like he
mm-hmm,
has a really really strong iconic style,
mm,
uh, but it really supports the subject matter that he approached. Um, it's always a bit whimsical. It's always a bit multi-dimensional, spiritual on a certain
mm-hmm,
level. Like there's a different kind of narrative that he's driving,
mm,
and it's always consistent. And his
mm,
style really supports that.
mm,
And say someone as awesome as Arjun, he has a very distinct style.
Mm,
But like his subject matter is it's about beauty. It's about girls and
mm,
how he knows best how to illustrate and portray uh, his subject matter, his understanding of ladies.
mm,
So like that's one way of being successful with your own style. You have to have absolute ultimate understanding of your subject matter.
mm, mm.
Yeah,
So it's kind of their niche that they have created for themselves, yeah, and they are masters of that niche,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Just like now a good example is Alex Ross. I think
Mm,
if he were painting anything else other than heroes, he's gonna be like meh, But his subject matter, his understanding of heroes, the way he portrays them as and
mm,
I think he takes an angle where he looks at them as deities.
mm,
So he delivers. You look at it and you understand his style and yeah, that's what I think. Like
mm,
if you want to push for your own personal style and be successful, you have to have a really good understanding behind a certain subject matter.
mm. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Before we continue, PPPHYL says hi. Hi, Gary. Taeyan Wee says Gary, Gary, Gary. And Cai Jiahui says, I don't think we're thinking about the same army fantasy. Ooh.
Great.
So back
Thanks.
to
Thanks for tuning
so just back to what you were saying earlier. So like because your approach is slightly more different, right? It's more about understanding the needs of the consumer, understanding, what are current trends and designing based on those trends, right? How would you
in. Yeah.
describe your way of working then if it is not a style per se?
Hmm. Um, if it's not my style and I have to work according to the consumer and the product, is that what you're asking? Like, how
Yeah.
would I tackle it?
Yeah, but how would you
Um,
how would you tackle it?
I, in a measured way, definitely I will need to get myself invested with the project.
Mm-hmm.
So, and usually we propose ideas that um, that I like, or as a team, we propose ideas that we like in
Mm,
regards to like around the client's needs. It always has to be an angle where we have some form of investment feelings as well um, to make this successful. I feel
mm,
definitely after that. Once we're invested, anything can change along the way because say like if it's a project that might take 6 months,
mm-hmm,
then there's plenty of time for you to kind of be on board with uh, the idea and kind of familiarizing yourself with the audience and
mm,
with what's trending in that age group, and then in that project you can apply.
mm,
In regards to something short, like say a Marvel comic book cover, um, the time to get you invested is shorter. So,
mm,
but you have to do it quickly. So if it's something that I have never like read or watched or got invested before, like I did this fan art for Game of Thrones, and I've never
mm.
watched Game of Thrones. I'm sorry, guys, I never watched Game of Thrones.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
um, yeah, I had to do a painting of the little guy. I forgot
Mm-hmm.
his name.
The
uh,
what's his name? The
Tyron.
Tyrion Lannister. Yeah, Tyrion Lannister.
Yeah, yeah, the Lannister. Yeah. So yeah, I had to kind of quickly familiarize myself with that character. Um, and I didn't watch any Game of Thrones, but I did study a lot of still images and kind of try to understand um, what what kind of what kind of persona he has, and see if I could kind of bring that out.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in anything, as long as you can bring out 60% of your intent on a piece of work, then
Mm-hmm.
uh, you can probably reach somebody who's familiar with this character. And then I kind of did a test with some friends who have watched the show, and then they were like, "Damn, that's like super sweet, man! I want that piece." And
Mm.
they started kind of like talking to me about all the episodes, and I'm like, I've never watched any, and they were surprised, like, well, how did I manage to bring out that kind of manifesto in that the same persona in my piece of Tyrion Lannister.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's just research.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. But you seem to have like a very organized framework or methodology to actually do your research, do your design, right? Did
Yeah.
you learn this along the way, or was it developed over time?
It developed over time. Well, I learned it a lot during my poly days. I was always under the thinking of I didn't learn things like through books or traditionally, but I always wanted a shortcut.
Mm.
Um, I'm a bit lazy, so
Mm-hmm.
I always have this thinking of like I need to do less for more output, and like this was part of it, like measuring what I digested, measuring um, if something I couldn't understand in terms of art, I try to break it down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, how does Drew Struzan achieve this kind of high detailed rendering, and I would kind of break it down by
Mm.
analyzing tons and tons of his posters.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
Okay.
Um, One of the big takeaways I had with in regards to kind of self learning is that I like to draw in volumes. I
Mm.
sculpt my figure, and I learned this because at some point during my poly days, I saw this sketch from Frank Miller,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a super rough sketch, like so
Mm.
rough. No details, nothing. It was like one of Frank Miller's lazy face,
Mm-hmm.
but it was so awesome because that rough piece of work, I could understand what was going on in there.
Mm-hmm.
The content, and he just played with mass the mass and volume of what Batman was, and through that I felt like, uh, man, this is a super rough piece of art, but it's so rough, but I felt like if you succeed in getting like form and volume out in what you want to do, you
Mm-hmm.
already achieve like 60% of the drawing. And line work is just like decorative touch to me.
Mm.
Yeah. So, and that stayed with me for a bit, and it was validated by a lecturer, Kelvin Tan. He did a lot of
Mm.
sculpting work, and um, yeah, he kind of he kind of taught us a lot of methods of drawing, and
Mm-hmm.
then through there I felt like, this validates my claims. It um, that put me down like on a more confident path in like drawing more and
Mm-hmm.
getting better. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. So getting your teacher's validation was important for you back then.
definitely. Yeah.
Cool. We have a question from Shiyuan again.
Mm.
Okay, she has a comment before that. Never watch Game of Thrones. Unfriend now. And then Gary, do you miss painting realistically, or do you think your style is shifting after working on Battle Royale style for some time? That's a good question.
Um. So, I'm a bit of a rubbish painter. Like, I'm not that great. I try to make it look great. Um, and I kind of offset it by making it look really detailed and tedious.
Hmm.
But they're all kind of fluff. Sometimes it's kind of how I try to. Uh, it's my way of presenting my work well.
Mm-hmm.
But with in regards to Battle Royale, um, there are many ingredients. There's many things in there. For some context, Battle Royale is like um, is cute and cartoony. It's a bit like Cartoon Network, Cal Arts kind of style.
Mm.
In that simplicity, there's actually quite a lot of uh, complexity involved in achieving something simple. The simpler you go, it just means that the more you have to reduce, but you have to reduce the right things. So in regards to my journey from doing something realistic to something more stylized, simplistic, and abstract, um, it's good. It's great so far. It's just deducting stuff
Mm-hmm.
and highlighting stuff that I think are important or eye catching.
Mm.
Um, it's definitely it will add to my realistic art in the future. Like
Mm.
so, it's not. I don't see it as a change for me. For me, it's a further study, um, and I think it's great. Everyone should try.
Mm. So you
Yeah.
have like a whole range of styles that you can work rather than just, in this case, your realistic style, right? Now you can actually move towards stylized. You know how to deal with stylized figure as well. You have that wide
Yeah.
range.
A lot of very good stylized art out there. They're really heavily based on realistic anatomy.
Mm.
Uh, Something like Bruce Timm's Batman.
Mm-hmm.
They have very clear fundamentals of anatomy there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, this is useful. Lilo and Stitch. Those
Mm.
are
Yeah,
fantastic.
those are
Really,
beautiful.
really good stylized anatomy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Mm. So, what was your favorite part on working on Battle Royale? Because you have been in Mighty Bear Games for a while, right?
Yeah. My favorite part. Um, I think at the beginning. Well, I guess I have two favorite parts.
Oh, okay. Do share, do share.
Yeah. In the beginning, conjuring the universe with Simon Davies is the product owner,
Mm-hmm.
and with Ben Chevalier, our art director. Um, we kind of like Battle Royale. That's a pun, right? So that's a pun based on Battle Royale, and Battle Royale is a food fighting game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like that gag stayed with us. Like we're super sold on um, the title, and that kind of was our seed idea behind creating the weapons and the characters behind Battle Royale, and what kind of universe it could be, and the amount of puns, food puns that we could uh, we could apply in that game, So that was super exciting. Like that was my favorite part. Like discovering the universe, and at the same time, because the idea of this gag, was so
Mm.
strong. All of us were in line with what we liked and what we wanted with that game.
Mm.
I've never been on a project with that level of commitment and synergy,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and like all the other projects I've been on, we would agree because we saw like maybe we're nice or we
Mm-hmm.
saw we see reason in the other person's thinking. But for Battle Royale, it was like everyone's on we were on the same frequency in regards to
Mm.
ideas. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, I think my second part was definitely when we kind of saw the product
Mm-hmm.
finished and everybody had the same vision of the game the moment we conjured this idea, and just seeing it come to life in that physical format on
Mm-hmm.
the mobile game, on the mobile front, uh, that was super exciting, super
Mm.
exciting and very rewarding.
Mm.
So yeah, um, yeah, that's all I can say.
No, I just find it very interesting. Like, I mean, we kind of like share very similar views on like what art can be in a pipeline, because it's no longer about my artwork anymore. It's about being part of a product, a bigger product, right?
Yeah,
And we got to really manage the product to fit the intended audience. My
yeah,
style doesn't matter now. What matters most is the style of the world,
yeah,
right? That we need to deliver to the customer out there. Because if the
yeah,
customer doesn't buy, I won't get paid. And it's
yeah,
important to respect the process of making a product.
yeah. Well, yes, there's that, but I also think that, and I'm not sure you will agree as well, that
Mm.
we can still afford to inject some of our own individuality in there. There's
Mm.
still a chance,
Of course, of course.
and it does give a certain X factor to anything that's commercial out there.
Mm.
Like I think if we try always, well, I'll always try subconsciously
Mm-hmm.
to have a bit of my own persona in there.
Mm.
For me, I always want it to be like the fun factor
Mm.
of whatever I deliver.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Hang Guang has a question for us. We'd like to ask, hello guys, we'd like to ask Gary if there were obstacles faced during the making of Battle Royale. Second question, would also like to ask if he's working on any personal projects at the moment or have any IP that he likes to work on. Thanks in advance.
Oh man. I'll answer the last one first. Like
Ah,
Street Fighter.
you want to work
I
on Street Fighter? Oh.
love to work on Street Fighter. Um, I have met influences from I mean not right now, but I started off with a lot of fundamentals based off Akiman, Bangers, Daigo, Aikeno, all the greats from Capcom back in the day. Back in the day when they were super fun. And what I like about Capcom, they were selling like a variety of race, like inclusivity.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you had really strong guys, you had really strong women. The fun factor was super high. Everything really interesting, everything
Mhm.
really diverse. So I really dig uh, Capcom's gaming culture uh, back then. I think it's something that we are applying at Mighty Bear Games as well, like being inclusive, um, being diverse. So yeah. Oh, what's the other questions? I totally forgot.
Okay. What are the obstacles you faced during the making of Battle Royale?
um, I special effects. Like one of the biggest obstacles we faced was creating tech behind the weapons, because with any other shooter games, it's I wouldn't say it's easy, but you kind of know how to design a projectile and how a projectile would behave. You really got that down, and
Mm.
you design around its rules. In terms of battle royale, because it's a food fighting game, we can't just like shoot a tomato and tell people that it's a food fighting game. People will call our bluff, and it just wouldn't like look fun if we just like shot uh, things that were non-liquidy. It had to
Mm-hmm.
it had to be saucy, juicy, and liquidy. Um, I we are always on the pursuit in improving this. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's a work in progress. That's our one obstacle. We had to sit down, figure out how we're going to get this done. Is there somebody out there who could like help us in development of like source tech? Um, yeah. Can we make, because our game is like famous for being non-violent, but we
Mm.
have this ketchup gun called a relisher.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks like spraying blood, right, all the time. And we go in and we think, how do we treat this as it looks like fun? Doesn't look like a murder scene.
Mm.
Yeah. So these were our obstacles. We I think we did the job right. Like so far, nobody has like said that that's a murderous looking map weapon or that looks like blood. Like we haven't gotten any of that. Yeah. So I think we did okay. We can definitely improve that. Yeah.
Mm.
What was the other question? I think there was one more.
That's two. You answered both.
But there's just two. Okay.
Yeah. Work. Oh, maybe if you have any personal projects that you're working on at the moment.
Oh right. And no, not really. I am doing a little something with my girlfriend, arcade machine.
Oh
That's been in the
wow.
works for longest time. I may be able to post a bit of snippets of the art that I'm doing.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
But do you have any interesting stories of collaborating with other artists or with other designers?
Yes. Like I I collaborated with Sunny Liu.
Oh,
I did a toy with Sunny Liu and Mighty Jax. So I was brought in as the sculptor, and we
mm-hmm.
were supposed to create this piece. Astro Boy.
Yes, yes.
Sunny has this Astro Boy piece, and I was supposed to sculpt a bus based on his art.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, and Sunny is a cool guy, by the way. I need to mention, like he's super cool. I'm a
He's a
big
very
fan.
soft-spoken guy. Very soft-spoken, but cool guy.
Soft-spoken, sweaty, nervous-looking guy, but very smart. Very smart
Yes.
and very cool. So yeah, he brought me on. He was like he we used to message quite a bit, and he was showing me, hey Gary, what do you think of this? And I saw like he got some artists in China do a 3D sculpt, and it was kind of like rubbish looking, and I said, hey man, like I could do this in a week. And he was like, say what? And I'm like, yeah, I could do this in a week. Like, why not? Why not just get me to do it? And then it's like, yeah, yeah, why not? And I wanted to, doing sculpture based on someone else's work. You need the guy to be there. So he allowed me to be in the studio for like it was supposed to be 2 weeks, but it ended
Mm-hmm.
up being like a month and a half.
Wow.
And part of the reason was that I had to redo the whole sculpture like 2 weeks in. So 2 weeks in, I was always like checking with him, validating if like the work was good. Is it to his liking? Is it to his to his taste? And part of this was that before I got in, I told him to do like a 3D a turnaround art of his Astro Boy piece. And back then I kind of briefed him on like what could work, what couldn't work, and then could we meet in the middle, find a solution with what he's pleased with. And then that's what we did. In 2 weeks we arrived to a sculpture, a full portrait polished sculpture that he liked. And um, and he was like, yeah, this is it, yeah, great job. And I'm like, yeah, I think this is it, yeah, this is great, man, yeah. And it was on a Friday, and I left his studio, and we kind of like pat ourselves on the back and say, hey, see you next week, man, this is great, man, this is gonna be so awesome, man. And I was hanging out with my friends at around 12. We're still messaging each other like, this is great. And oh yeah, but before I left, I actually told him, I said, dude, if you want to change anything, like go ahead, just go ahead and change the sculpture. It's fine. um, um, I'm good enough to fix whatever you need. Just let me know. And he said, yeah, that's cool and all. And like on Monday I came in. Like he comes in at around 12, and I come in at 1. So there's an hour difference. I let him set up his studio and shit. I come in at 1, and then he stops me from coming in.
Uh-oh.
His face just peeks behind the door, sweaty face. Gary, hope you hope you're not angry. And I'm like, I knew he was talking about sculpture, right? So I'm like, nah, I won't be. I'm fine. Don't worry. Like you, and he was like, yeah, I did something with the sculpture. I went in and I did a bit of edits, and then after a while, I wasn't sure what I was doing anymore. And I was like, look at the time, and I was like, it's just an hour. Like, what he could have done? Nothing, right? I don't know, slice a earpiece off or something. I can fix that. I went in and it was nothing. Like he erased the whole thing. Like it was polished. It was ready to be casted, kind of polish. Smooth, everything smoothed out. Like he went in. He tore it apart. He really tore it apart, literally. I was like, holy smokes! That was 2 weeks worth of work. I didn't know what to say. I was like, hey, that's okay. I now know what you want. I know what you want. I think this is great.
So you kept your cool and you were still calm about it.
I kept my cool. I sat down. I said, don't worry, I'm going to fix this. I think this is getting somewhere. After 5 hours, I just told him, stay out, like, don't touch my stuff.
Oh man, that is a great story.
I was like, Sonny, don't touch my stuff. And he was like, you, like, usually he's like the master of the playlist in his studio. That day he was like, Gary, you want to listen to music? Gary, what, anything you want?
Yeah. But the final piece is still produced, right? I mean, it's still out there, yeah.
The final piece, actually, it turned out better, way better than the piece that we met in the middle with, because I think after he went through that process of like sculpting on his own, he realized all the problems I was facing, telling him about, I we banged out a way better product than
Wow.
the initial one.
Ah, so there's a
Yeah.
happy ending after all.
Happy ending, very good.
But what a dramatic climax! Like,
So heart pain, but I don't think I even have pictures of the old sculpt. I think Sunny might have. There's a stop
Hmm.
motion progress. Like we actually did. I took pictures every 2 minutes,
Mhm.
and then Sunny compiled it into kind of a stop motion time lapse video of the work. It
Mm,
was fun. It was fun. I would do it all over again. I would love to camp at his studio and kind of like geek out with him
mm.
again. Like, yeah.
Right, right. Cool, cool,
maybe
cool.
maybe it's Charlie Chan stuff. Oh, I'm so annoyed that he's not continuing Malinki Robot.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
such a good
would I would
series.
love I would love for him to do Malinki Robot. Like, Sunny, if you ever listen to this, um, you son of the seaside, why don't you like continue with Malinki Robot?
Yeah, yeah. That's one of the comics that I missed. I think
Uh,
he
what the
recently.
hell?
Uh
What the hell is Charlie Chan? I know you want Eisner with that, but what the hell is it?
huh.
I want Malinki Robot, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And speaking of which, have you seen his latest one on the COVID pandemic? He
Not
did
yet.
a. Oh, that's actually pretty good. I thought it was. I
Yeah,
mean, he's always good. Yeah, generally, his stuff is a high standard.
great.
So I thought it was a.
Yeah.
He articulated a lot of stuff that's happening right now.
Mm.
And speaking of COVID, has it affected your workflow in any way, or has it affected your way of creating stuff in any way?
No, no. So far, no. Like Mighty Bear Studios, the company I'm at, we did a dry run of like having online conferences. We are really tight with our communications and our
Mm-hmm.
daily check-ins. So far, no. Everything's been a breeze. Definitely, do need a bit of like workout since we are not like walking around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And definitely you need more mental attention, paying
Mm-hmm.
attention to who's talking online, especially when we are talking in a group of 10. We take our turns, we wait for each other to take turns. So that's a bit taxing, that's a bit time consuming, but we're doing what we can. It works out well right now.
Mm.
And everyone in Singapore is like doing it. 加油, everyone.
Awesome, awesome. Great that you guys aren't that much affected. I think pretty much folks who are working in the video games industry aren't that affected because there are, I mean, IT teams that actually we build up the infrastructure to be able to work remotely. So that helps a lot. Yeah. I mean, in the whole
Yeah.
digitization of industries, I think the video game industry is probably one of the most ready to digitize anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think I think um, like out of the COVID stuff, I think the unfortunate thing was with like Vanguard virus Vanguard
Virus
from
Vanguard,
Brazil.
yeah.
That was a bit unfortunate. Like I didn't I wasn't I was quite sad. I was quite sad with like the fallout of what happened and
Mm,
um, like I understand where the audience and where like the public is coming from,
mm,
but in regards to Virus Vanguard, I always saw it as something that was satirical. There was a parody or a tribute, and from that angle, I felt like it is totally forgivable. Like whatever that the artist meant to do, even though there was like a piece of mock up for the client to see
mm.
to get the idea across. Like to me, even if that was the final, like uh, I wouldn't have fought him on anything.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
So maybe some context for those of you guys who aren't aware of what's this virus Vanguard thing that Gary has just shared with us. So essentially, it's a government commissioned project that was it was given out to this artist, and so there were allegations that hey, this artist actually traced from other IPs, and the whole campaign or the whole messaging for that particular image just fell flat in the public's face, and it triggered a very big public backlash. So and a lot of blame was put onto the artist and to the government agency that commissioned him. So yeah, that's the context that we are talking about. Context of the whole virus Vanguard episode.
yeah. Hey, thanks for giving context to the whole story.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like, and I saw it from the angle of it being a tribute. It's humorous. It's a bit lame. It's poking fun at certain stuff, and it
Mm-hmm.
is a public service announcement. It's about COVID. So to me, I saw it as a parody, but I later understood that that's not the case with everybody. Even with
Mm.
artists, they kind of saw it as something that was like official. So why is there tracing?
Mm.
And I think this brought an amount of awareness to me, at least, that we need to we need to educate. We need to, as artists, it's our job to educate people, um, like the nature of say uh, like understanding the context of the product before
Mm.
you call judgment on it.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, but how do you think we as creatives can actually educate the public, as you said? Because I think in my understanding of it, I just saw it as someone who is probably someone who is an overzealous marketer who took pitch art that was not meant for public viewing and put it into the public domain.
yeah,
Because I mean, the nature of the business is, I mean, as artists, we do trace every now and then, but sometimes
yeah,
it's just to put an idea across very quickly. It's for internal review. It's not so much about copying another artist's work,
yeah,
but it's just getting things done as quickly as we can, so that the idea gets approved, and then we can greenlight it and produce the necessary artwork for that idea. But in this case, yeah, I just felt it was there was a bit of a disconnect in the whole process.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I guess, like, as artists, like, watermarks have to return.
Mhm.
um, like, we have to put watermarks, huge watermarks, over our mock-up art and just tell them, for internal purposes.
Mm.
Yeah, having like big words. But this still poses the danger of, like, if you do actual parody work for real
Mhm.
and you put it out there and it's like traced according to its composition of the original art, because it's a parody, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, it's just like Uncle Sam wants you kind of, whatever you're gonna parody, right?
Mhm.
You see, like, this kind of teaches me that this still poses the danger that anyone might accuse you. So I think in regards to education, um, there's no real fast way to do it. We just need to um, educate everyone the right way about the context of the product, the content.
Mm.
Tell them what this means, what a parody means.
Mhm.
Um, it's a work in progress, but mm, yeah, I think we just need to give a shout out whenever we can.
Mm.
Yeah,
I think yeah, you're right. I think it's important for us to be supportive of at least even members of our own community, so
yeah,
that we can
yeah,
help improve and prevent such misfortunate stuff from happening ever again. Yeah, because it was was a misadventure of sorts, I believe, because I don't think
Yeah,
everyone had the best of intentions.
definitely. It looked fun. It looked
Yeah,
like, yeah.
just it's just a bit of a
Yeah.
shame. We have some comments from Hang Guang. I was quite shocked about the backlash of Virus Vanguard. I felt the public could have seen it in a light-hearted and goodwill manner instead of just shooting down the whole campaign.
Mm.
Yeah, we agree on that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to, like, I don't blame them. They just um they don't know any better, right? Like we need
Mm,
to kind of ramp them up into this sort of stuff. Part of it is, give public talks around um, what the nature of creating art. I've given, like, I've tried to give some in I started like 3 years ago, going to schools and National Library to talk about the nature behind what I do.
mm-hmm,
um, I think we need more people to just, like, spare a bit of time to go out and give a talk about
mm,
what we do. Yeah,
mm.
yeah,
Okay.
and why is it a profession? Why is it not a hobby? Stuff like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
definitely right. I think when experts can articulate out their expertise, that's when it becomes professional, right?
Mm.
Because otherwise, I'm just doing stuff for like masak masak, just playing stuff,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then if I can't articulate it, then yeah, who am I to position myself as an expert in a particular field or this particular craft? And oh, we have one question from Ray as well. Gary, your drawing of characters is full of life. How do you suggest someone train and improve their skill to reach your level of execution? From one master to another master, how?
Um, Man, I like to study people from a acting perspective. Like, maybe not so much. Yeah, I mean, like, if I can get into, like, what a character thinks mentally and stuff, like, that's a bonus. But I, s- I start off looking at stereotypes, um, because for me, like, creating from scratch, that's difficult, right? So,
Mhm.
I always work with stereotypes first, and like, say, evil doctor, or tough guy of the village, or brawler in the neighborhood. I work from stereotypes, and then I layer on that idea. What level of extremities does a character do I want to have in this particular character? Is he does he have something to protect? Does he have a motive? Is he
Mm,
all around a bad guy? So, like, if you approach it from a measured point of view, um, you can always get something out. Um, the good is that, going by this practice, you always deliver something. The bad of it is that, it's not spontaneous, right?
mm,
And to me, usually one of the best ideas, or art, are the spontaneous ones.
mm,
If you can lean in on something that's spontaneous, go for it.
mhm,
If you can't, you can always go down to the measured route. Yeah.
mm,
So go from stereotypes, go from themes that, is it post-apocalyptic?
mm,
Does this guy have, like, toxic poisoning, or just run through your library in your head, like, run through what you know, what you're familiar with, and then layer on that. So, yeah, that's how I get my characters lively. um, I always think they're not lively enough. Yeah, I think DCWJ,
mhm.
another artist, friend of mine, also fellow competitor. in school. Um, he's got a real good knack at drawing really derpy looking characters that has his own twist. Like um, his is not as calculated as mine, so
Mm.
I think he could give a better answer. I think
Yeah, maybe we could get him on the show.
we
Yeah.
can get him on the show.
Yeah. Ray says
Yeah.
cool.
Ray is great at his characters. You know, Ray To.
Yes.
He comes in from an angle where it's narrative that brings his character to life. When I do characters, I think part of what makes them look lively is that I pay attention to weightage. So if I sketch someone who's like big, muscular, when they move, I apply the weight distribution of where the energy is, or if he's swinging his arm. Or I tend to observe things like that, make their fats move in a certain direction of the flow, or I just tend to have a knack for that. For Ray, his is in the narrative aspect, which is super cool. I'm learning a lot from that.
And that's how we grow, right? We continue to learn from one another and grow and become better because we all have different experiences. And when we share, that's when, get to empathize and get to understand the world with a different set of lens. And that adds to our collective experience as artists and as a designer as well. Right. So before we end off today's show, do you have any like one last pro tip that you can share with everyone else who is watching? We've got, I think, 7 folks watching today.
No, just do what you like to do, man. Just
passion made possible.
Find your own method of working. Not everybody's method might work for you, so if you can't just like do the opposite, try stuff. If you want to have a place in being a professional, like just keep trying whatever you can. Yeah.
Right. Cool. And with
Thanks,
that, that's a great one. Thank you for sharing all those useful tips, Gary. I think you have been very articulate.
Happy to be on. Thanks. I hope sometimes I ramble.
No. I think you have been very articulate and very concise with your thought process. Really interesting to hear, like, from you, someone who is like what you said, right? You take a very calculated approach to your art, where some other artists are more free spirited. Say, hey, I just go with my gut instinct, and others may go, hey, I've an approach. I go, maybe have a different process. So it's interesting that we can see how different approaches affect the artwork and how our different life experiences also shape how we create and make good art. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think it's quite insightful. It is insightful.
Thanks, man.
And if you are on my Facebook page, do give me a like as well, so that I know that you guys and this I know that you guys like this content, and that, this content actually is of service to you guys. So thank you for sticking around. For those of you who are still here, there are about 10 of you guys. So thank you so much. And I'll see you guys on day. All right, guys.
Thanks, Dom. Stay safe.
You too.